In under 24 hours, Iran's air defense network was paralyzed by a coordinated wave of airstrikes. This was Operation Rising Lion. Dozens of Israeli F-15I, F-16I, and F-35I Adir jets crossed into Iranian airspace, targeting military and nuclear command centers with precision that left intelligence analysts stunned. For decades, Iran's multi-layered defenses, bolstered by advanced radar and surface-to-air missile systems, were considered nearly impenetrable. Yet, Israel's rapid shift from defense to decisive offense was made possible by years of strategic intelligence gathering and a leap in technological capability. How did these jets bypass some of the world's most sophisticated air defenses without setting off alarms? The answer lies in a new generation of stealth technology that would redefine what is possible in aerial warfare. Imagine a fighter jet entering the most heavily defended airspace in the region, slipping past layers of radar and missile coverage that were engineered to block any intrusion. This is precisely what unfolded during Operation Rising Lion, as Israel's use of advanced technology upended Iran's long-standing sense of aerial security. For years, Iran invested in a dense, multi-layered defense network anchored by Russian-made S-200 and S-300 missile systems, which could track and target aircraft at impressive ranges. These batteries, combined with overlapping radar networks and mobile launchers, created a formidable shield, one that most military strategists believed would deter, or at least delay, any deep penetration strike. Yet, when the Israeli Air Force launched its opening wave, it became clear that the old calculations no longer applied. The first phase of Operation Rising Lion targeted Iran's early warning radar systems and surface-to-air missile control stations with a coordinated, multi-pronged strategy. Drawing on NATO-style doctrine, Israel used asynchronous suppression tactics to disrupt the enemy's command chain. F-15I jets deployed electromagnetic decoys and electronic countermeasures, blinding control nodes and sowing confusion among Iranian operators. At the same time, F-35I Adir stealth fighters slipped through the gaps, avoiding detection as they pushed nearly 600 miles into Iranian territory, an unprecedented distance achieved without mid-air refueling, thanks to a top-secret technological upgrade co-developed with the United States. This upgrade was a pivotal factor. Israeli and American engineers worked together to extend the F-35I's operational range and enhance its stealth profile, removing the final barrier that had previously made deep strikes on central Iran risky or impossible. With this new capability, the Adir jets could reach far-flung, heavily fortified targets in a single sortie, bypassing the need for vulnerable mid-air refueling operations. Defense officials described this breakthrough as a technical game-changer, and the results bore that out. Iranian radar operators failed to register the inbound jets, leaving key military and nuclear sites exposed. The F-35I's technological edge did not stop with its airframe or radar-absorbing coatings. During the operation, Israeli pilots received live targeting data from U.S. reconnaissance satellites and Israeli drones, which provided a real-time intelligence umbrella over the mission. This direct integration meant that pilots could adjust flight paths and targeting on the fly, responding to new threats and shifting priorities as the situation developed. The ability to feed satellite and drone imagery straight into the cockpit gave Israel a decisive advantage, allowing its jets to avoid mobile missile batteries or last-minute relocations of high-value assets. As the campaign progressed, the effectiveness of these upgrades became undeniable. Israeli aircraft systematically eliminated early warning sites and SAM launchers, including mobile radar systems stationed near critical infrastructure. In one instance, a heavily defended air defense facility, equipped with multiple short-range tracking radars, was destroyed before its operators could even detect the incoming threat. Communications and command centers, essential for coordinating Iran's air defense response, were also targeted and neutralized within hours of the first strikes. The network Iran had spent decades building was dismantled in a matter of hours, clearing the way for follow-on waves of airstrikes. The implications of this achievement are far-reaching. Traditionally, air campaigns against such fortified targets would require heavy jamming support, decoy missions, and a willingness to absorb significant losses. Operation Rising Lion showed that, with the right blend of stealth, real-time intelligence, and precision tactics, it was possible to neutralize advanced air defenses with minimal risk. By knocking out the S-300 batteries and their supporting infrastructure early, Israel opened corridors for its strike aircraft to reach deeper and more sensitive targets, all while facing little organized resistance. Beyond the physical destruction, the psychological impact was just as profound. Iran's confidence in its air defense network was rooted not only in hardware, but in the belief that its layered system could deter or blunt any attack. The ease with which Israeli jets bypassed these defenses sent a powerful signal. Advanced missile systems and radar arrays, no matter how modern, could be rendered ineffective by a determined adversary with superior technology and tactics. The F-35I Adir, in this context, became more than just a stealth fighter. It was a symbol of a new era in air warfare, where adaptability and integration mattered as much as raw firepower. This campaign reshaped expectations for future conflicts. The lessons of Operation Rising Lion suggest that nations may begin to prioritize networked intelligence, autonomous systems, and rapid data sharing over traditional strategies focused on massed air power and brute force. The shift is already evident in how militaries around the world are rethinking the role of stealth, electronic warfare, and satellite support in their own doctrines. As the Israeli jets secured control of the skies, the next phase of the operation would hinge on what they could accomplish with that freedom. The question was no longer whether they could reach Iran's most protected facilities, but whether they could strike them with the precision needed to dismantle entire command structures in a single blow. Precision from above shaped every phase of Operation Rising Lion. As Israeli aircrews gained uncontested access to Iranian skies, their focus shifted to disabling Iran's most vital military assets with a level of accuracy that left little room for error. The campaign's defining feature was its use of satellite-guided munitions, specifically the GBU-39 and GBU-53B small-diameter bombs. Backed by real-time data from U.S. reconnaissance satellites and Global Hawk drones, Israel's Air Force built detailed target maps, identifying not only fixed installations, but also the communications and decision-making hubs that kept Iran's defenses connected. The strikes began with a clear objective: paralyze Iran's command and control structure and prevent any coordinated response. Early warning radar stations and surface-to-air missile control nodes were among the first targets. By eliminating these, Israel executed a network kill, a strategy that left Iran's multi-layered air defense system blind and deaf. The result was a rapid collapse of organized resistance, as radar operators and missile crews struggled to regain communication and situational awareness. With the airspace effectively neutralized, Israeli jets turned to Iran's most fortified facilities. At the Natanz nuclear site, the mission was to disrupt the enrichment process at its core. Using satellite-guided GBU-53B bombs, Israeli pilots targeted internal infrastructure, power systems, air conditioning, and the production line itself. Rather than relying on repeated sorties, a single precisely delivered bomb caused cascading failures. Satellite imagery later showed that the damage halted uranium enrichment for at least a year, as technicians faced the daunting task of restoring both machinery and the delicate environmental controls essential for centrifuge operation. A similar approach was used at the uranium-to-metal conversion center in Isfahan. Here, a concrete-penetrating bomb struck the central operations area, destroying the facility's main building in one attack. The GBU-53B's infrared and radar guidance enabled it to home in on the most critical point, maximizing the effect while minimizing collateral damage. The destruction of this site set back Iran's nuclear ambitions, as the final stage in bomb core manufacturing was now inoperable. The campaign's precision extended beyond nuclear infrastructure. At military airports like Hamadan and Tabriz, satellite-guided bombs destroyed runways, aircraft hangars, and fuel depots. The strikes were so accurate that entire fleets of aircraft were trapped inside collapsed hangars, and fuel reserves ignited without spreading to adjacent civilian areas. The effectiveness of these munitions meant that, within the first 24 hours, Iran's military airports were paralyzed, aircraft grounded, radar stations offline, and missile batteries either destroyed or bypassed. One of the most significant blows came at the COMR base near Tabriz. This facility was more than a missile storage site. It served as a coordination hub for long-range weapon deployment and the dispersal of launch instructions. Israeli air crews used heavy concrete-piercing bombs to obliterate reinforced bunkers. Satellite images revealed blackened patches where the base once stood, evidence of a strike that not only destroyed missiles in storage, but also severed the communication networks essential for coordinating Iran's retaliatory capabilities. By dismantling this logistical node, Israel created chaos in Iran's ability to launch or even organize a counterstrike. Continuous surveillance by Hermes and Heron UAVs played a critical role, especially in tracking mobile missile launchers. When a transporter erector launcher vehicle left a storage site, Israeli forces initiated an immediate strike, often before the platform could set up or fire. This rapid engagement cycle further reduced Iran's capacity to mount an effective response, as launchers were destroyed in transit or preparation. The ripple effects of these strikes were visible both on the ground and in Iran's leadership. Satellite imagery confirmed the destruction of key facilities within hours, while reports from within Iran described command centers struggling to re-establish basic communications. The loss of power and environmental controls at Natanz, for example, meant that even after the physical damage was repaired, operations would remain stalled for months. The psychological impact was clear. Assets once considered untouchable had been eliminated with surgical precision, and the backbone of Iran's military infrastructure was in disarray. By the end of the first day, Israel had established a freedom of action zone over Iranian airspace. The campaign's success was not only measured by the number of targets destroyed, but by the paralysis of Iran's ability to fight back. The groundwork was laid for the next phase, as Iran scrambled to recover and coordinate a response. The question now shifted. How would Israel's defenses withstand the massive wave of retaliation that was about to follow? Over 200 ballistic missiles and 150 drones surged toward Israel in a coordinated barrage, each one aimed at critical military and civilian sites. Iran called this Operation True Promise 3, a massive retaliatory salvo designed to overwhelm Israel's defenses and inflict serious damage on cities like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, as well as air bases and industrial centers. On paper, the scale and intensity of the attack should have been devastating. Yet, according to preliminary assessments cited in official reports, Israel's defense network intercepted about 95% of these incoming threats, a result that stunned observers across the region. At the heart of this success was Israel's multi-layered missile defense system, a network built over years to counter everything from short-range rockets to intercontinental ballistic missiles. The Iron Dome formed the first line of defense, positioned across urban and strategic areas to protect civilian populations from short-range rockets and drones. Its radar and command systems rapidly identified which projectiles posed real threats, ensuring interceptors targeted only those headed for populated zones or critical infrastructure. This selectivity conserved resources and maximized the system's efficiency, especially as swarms of drones and salvos of rockets arrived almost simultaneously. For mid-range threats, David's sling operated as the next layer, designed to intercept more advanced missiles that could evade the Iron Dome. David's sling targeted projectiles like the Fateh 110 and similar weapons. Its interceptors were guided by a network of ground-based radars and command centers, which tracked missile trajectories and coordinated launches in real time. This system worked in tandem with the Arrow missile defense batteries, which specialize in stopping long-range ballistic missiles such as Iran's Shahab-3 and Sajil models. Arrow interceptors often engaged threats while they were still outside Israeli airspace, providing a critical buffer and reducing the risk to cities and military bases. The effectiveness of these three layers depended on their ability to work together, but also on the integration of advanced radar and early warning systems. Here, the role of the United States proved decisive. US-operated THAAD missile batteries and Aegis-equipped Arleigh Burke-class destroyers stationed in the Gulf extended the detection perimeter far beyond Israel's borders. As soon as Iranian missiles launched, US sensors relayed trajectory data and launch coordinates to Israeli command centers. This early warning, coupled with access to the CENTCOM regional defense network, gave Israel precious extra seconds to calculate intercepts and prepare its defensive batteries. Real-time intelligence sharing between Israel and the US was critical at every stage. US reconnaissance satellites with advanced imaging and multispectral analysis capabilities monitored Iranian launch sites and tracked the flight paths of both missiles and drones. This data fed directly into Israel's command network, allowing for rapid adjustments and coordinated responses across all missile defense layers. The combined effect was a seamless shield that adapted to each new wave of threats, neutralizing the vast majority before they could reach Israeli airspace. Despite the overwhelming volume of the attack, only a handful of missiles managed to penetrate the defenses. These caused minor damage in industrial areas and residential neighborhoods in Tel Aviv, with a small number of injuries reported. The limited impact, especially given the scale of the offensive, demonstrated the robustness and sophistication of Israel's missile defense network. Each layer performed as intended, and the integrated approach meant that even if one system missed a target, another was ready to engage. The US contribution to this defense effort was not only technological, but also symbolic. For the first time in nearly a decade, American forces directly operated missile interception systems to defend Israel against Iranian fire. The deployment of THAAD batteries and Aegis destroyers, and the open sharing of radar and satellite intelligence, marked a new level of cooperation between the two countries. This partnership sent a strong message to the region about the depth of the US-Israel alliance and the consequences of crossing certain lines. Israel's ability to neutralize such a large-scale retaliatory strike set a new benchmark for integrated air and missile defense. Few nations possess the technical infrastructure or international support to defend against a multi-pronged attack of this scale. The near-total interception rate was not just a military achievement, but a demonstration of how preparation, layered technology, and international collaboration can redefine the outcomes of modern conflict. If you find this defense network as impressive as we do, hit like and let us know your thoughts in the comments. The events of Operation Rising Lion highlight how innovation and coordination can change the course of warfare, raising new questions about what comes next in this evolving landscape. Operation Rising Lion demonstrated how stealth penetration, networked intelligence, and precision-guided munitions can establish a freedom of action zone even over the most defended airspace. Israel's integration of advanced weaponry, real-time intelligence, and strategic planning allowed it to neutralize Iran's air defenses and strike critical targets with remarkable efficiency. As military officials noted, this campaign marks a turning point in 21st century warfare, proving that information and integration can outmatch raw numbers. If you're fascinated by the future of air combat, subscribe for more deep dives into cutting-edge aviation technology. Your thoughts and questions are always welcome in the comments below.